Alright, this video is going to be just a quick overview of our persuasive research paper that we'll be working on for the rest of the school year. So this is a copy of the handout that students were given on Monday, May 12th in class, and it kind of goes over the expectations and the schedule for the rest of the school year. So as it says, this is our last unit of the year, but it also means it's the one where you need to use everything we've learned this year in all parts. What we'll be doing is writing a research paper. Each student will write their own research paper where they will persuade an adult, me, on whether or not kids should be allowed to use their cell phones during school, and specifically meaning in class, and we will clarify that question in class. Or should cell phones not be allowed during school hours? And students will have to choose one side or the other. They can't go in between. They need to pick a side and argue for it. It's research because they need to give research in their paper, and I've already done the research for them, and I will provide them with it. There will be copies online. So students do not need to do their own research. However, we will be working on citations and reference pages. These are required, and if they do not cite sources properly, that is technically plagiarism, which is against our school policy, and they can receive a 0 for the assignment. So students need to make sure they're following my directions to a T, exactly and carefully as I give them, to avoid any type of plagiarizing. Now when we get to the point where we're ready to write our final drafts, these can be typed or handwritten. Either one is fine. We do not have computer lab time to work on this, so if they want to type in class, they will need to bring a device in, and it will need to be a laptop, an iPad. Unless it has Google Docs or something like that, is not going to work very well for this particular instance. So an iPad will be okay if you can do it, use a word processor, but laptops would be the best. I will give the students a template that they need to follow, and they need to follow it carefully. Formatting on research papers is very critical. This paper is going to be worth 40 points, so it's almost as much as the book project was. So the directions need to be followed precisely. Now if students want to type at home, that's acceptable only when we're working on the final draft, so it would be during the last week, and I'll show you a schedule in a second. But they will also need something to be productive in class. If not, I can give them some tasks to do, but they can choose to type at home, and that's perfectly okay. Alright, so this will be our schedule for the next 4 weeks. So you can see week 1, which is May 12th through 16. You can read that there. I'll just highlight a few of the highlights of the schedule. We'll be reading some high school papers on Tuesday in class. Wednesday we will be forming arguments together. We'll be putting a big list on the board. Thursday they will actually be able to get into the research. And Friday they can continue doing that. There'll be some grammar review they can do in the lab. It'll also be an opportunity to retake the STAR test to try to earn some extra credits. So that will be our week 1 schedule. Our week 2 schedule, May 19 through the 23. We'll start writing our thesis statements on class on Monday, and we'll finish those on Tuesday during our half day. This is a single sentence, but it's the most important sentence of the paper, so that's why we'll be spending a lot of time to write that. Wednesday they will be finishing up looking at research and actually picking out what they want to use to support that thesis statement. And Thursday we'll wrap up the research, and we'll look at the opposing viewpoints. Research papers must address opposing viewpoints. Then on Friday the 23rd there will be a Word of the Week quiz. That's also the date their reading project is due, and anything from this week that has not been wrapped up by then will be wrapped up on Friday the 23rd. The third week of the project, May 26th through 30. The 26th is Memorial Day, so we will not have school that day. The 27th we'll be writing our outlines for the paper in class. Then that gives them the 28th, 29th, and 30th to write their rough draft in class, so they will have 3 full class periods to write their rough draft. Also on May 30th right here they'll be working on their final grammar test too. And then finally we get into the 4th and final week of the project, which is the next to last week of school. On Monday, June 2nd, we will be editing in class. There will be a checklist and some activities they need to complete with that. Tuesday in class, we're going to check all of their citations to make sure they're done properly, and we're going to check their reference pages to make sure they're formatted correctly. and that will give them Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday to complete the final draft in class. If it's not done on Friday when they walk out the door, it is homework due Monday, and I really do not want to take this any later than Monday because that will give me very little time to grade them. So they should be able to complete that final draft in class by the end of the day on Friday, June 6th. I may still try to get some lab time on these dates if it's possible. And to wrap up the school year, there's nothing on the slide to show you, but the week of June 9 through 13, on Monday, June 9th, we will be reviewing for the final exam. On Tuesday, June 10th, my third hour language arts class will be taking the final exam. Wednesday, June 11th, hours 4, 5, and 6 will be taking the final exam. On Thursday, the 12th, will be makeups if any child misses that day. It'll be the last day to turn in any work. And then on Friday, June 13th is our last day of school. It is a half day, so hopefully everything's turned in by then. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me, Mr. Hayden, through email or by phone. And hopefully they can learn a lot from this project. And this will be very similar to things they'll be doing in 8th grade and in high school and even in college. So thank you, and look forward to seeing you soon.